So, this is the first video of my channel, and I just want to say welcome. I want to first off by start saying I am no way a mechanic in any form of means, but you're going to see what I can do. Um, I never managed to complete college because I suffer with ADHD, meaning I couldn't sit down in class. Well, I've got the 116i BMW n13 engine, and today we're gonna be changing the timing chain. So, as you can see, this is the BMW n13 engine. Now, what we're going to start by doing is just taking off. I've already taken off the plastics that were up there, but you're going to start by taking off all of these plugs, just popping them off, just like that. Then we're going to take the spark plugs out as well, take this hose off, also take this off, and pop this off as well. So, that's the boring part out of the way. I'm going to quickly do that. So most of these are, well, actually, all of these are 10mm, apart from when you get to the one that's got the earth strap on. So you're going to get to the point where the earth strap is here, and this one's an 8mm. So you're just going to go ahead with the 8mm first. Once that 8mm is then off, you are then able to go and attach the 10mm, and then you can take that off. And then that is pretty much that done. So once that is then done, there's just one hidden here, which I've already done. Then you've got one in here, and then one in here. Which seems to be done. So next thing to do, just unplug the two plugs that are here. These are your camshaft sensors, intake and outlet, I suppose. So then, just a little bit of jiggling to get it out. But that is that then out. So then that is the chain now exposed. Then all you're going to want to do now is take the spark plugs out, which there is a specific tool. I am going to have to let you know in a second what it is when I go and grab it. So I went and got this bad boy from Halfords. It's a 14mm. Not too sure what that is, but yeah. Basically, chuck that on. That's then going to grip onto your spark plug. So then you're able to take them out. And because my magnetic on it has completely gone, I've just got a magnetic thing, telescopic rod, just so I can grab them. And by the looks of them, they're not too bad. Right, so they're all out, which means I like to use these cable ties. Pop the cable ties in, let them drop. So just make sure they drop in the hole. This way we can then line up the timing, and then we're going to know that it's top dead center. Obviously right now you can see that the two at the end are a lot higher than the ones in the middle. So obviously when we move it round, they're all going to line up so that we can get our timing tool on, just like that. So as you can see, I have now taken off all the bolts around the rocker cover and taken that rocker cover out. There was two plugs to take off here, and I've also taken the spark plugs off and the coil plugs, and then put cable ties in there. And then that's how we're going to find top dead center. When we move this around, we're then going to get top dead center, and we're going to be able to confirm it with these spark plugs. So yeah, the only thing left now to do is to take this off. There's 3 bolts there and the plug. You can take that off, and then yeah, we can start looking at getting the timing all set up. Obviously you can take the belt off if you pull back the tensioner and then take the belt off there. So as you can see, we're just going to keep turning this round till we can get to a point where we are top to center. This step does require a lot of patience. So just going to double check roughly to see if that's where I want it. So as you can see, that's not where you want it because it's not locking into place. So you're just going to keep going. Just going to keep going till you get to that point where you have reached top dead center. So I would probably say that is close, getting close to it. So just pop that in there, and as you can see, we are in line. And then if I was to chuck this one on as well, then it by rights it should line up pretty well. As you can see, it's not lined up completely. So if I was just to move it tiniest bit, that has now got it into place. But that is just to get us in a rough guide for where we need to be. Because what I've got to do first is go underneath and pop this in underneath, so that locks the crankshaft in, and then you can come put these on top. But I like to do this so I know that, you know, I'm pretty much there. So then when I go with the lever bar, you know, I'm only slightly moving it back and forth just to find where the slot is to get it in. So we're just going to be underneath the car, finding where this will slot into. So most of the time it will be about here. And then what you're going to be looking for is, if you do what I've done now, is I'm currently, I've currently got the ratchet there. Ratchet is currently there. I'm holding on to it, just turning it ever so slightly. And what we're waiting for is, trying to show this in progress, is the moment it decides it wants to clip in. So as you're seeing now, it's not in, can't push this in. But then what you're going to do is move the ratchet until you're going to get that. So now that is in, we know that's in. So you slide it back, it pops it. Now that is top dead center of the timing chain, of the timing. So then we can then go ahead, and then what we're going to do, we're then going to be able to get our timing kit on there. Fire right. It will lock into place. Obviously, might just need a little bit more. So, next thing I'm going to do is pull this back. I believe it's a 16 mil, if I remember correctly. Has been a minute since I've done this. But there's 17 mil, so that's too big. So 16 mil, yeah, still Right, so I'm going to grab the 16mm, and all you're going to do, pull that tension back, and then we are just going to pop the belt off, like that way. You can then get this 18mm bolt off that pulls that crankshaft off, or whatever it is, can't remember. We're going to pull that off, and then we're going to be able to undo these bolts, pull the timing chain out after we've done a couple of the other bolts, and then that is out. So the clip before, you would have seen that I've done the bolt from underneath, which is the crankshaft bolt. That means that this is all top dead center. I've got the cable ties in there to confirm that it's all top dead center. I've also managed to put the top on now, so you're just going to place them on there like that. Now that is done. So the only thing now is to take these off, undo the bolt here, which is 18mm, to get that out, and then there's just a couple that are hidden, so I've got to pop this off so I can get to the bolt underneath, and then there's just two here that you're going to do after this is taken off. So let's do it. Then you should be able to take it Right, so that 18mm bolt is out, so we can just lever this off. That is then just going to pop off, just like so. Then just going to wiggle that out, put that to the side. And right, there is a, if I can remember correctly, a 22mm tensioner. So you've got the tension in here that needs to come out as well, which I do believe is a 22mm. So to get the tensioner off, it is a 27mm. Well, that's not supposed to happen, but I'll go and grab that. It's a 27mm. Alright, somebody's got butterfingers today. So we're going to grab that. Just chuck that there. Now you might want to get a cloth of some sort, because this does go everywhere. So I do have my cloth ready. I would hire a hype man, so everything I do would suddenly be epic. And then you're just going to want to pop that underneath. So when you take it off, for your chance to win £1 million, just search the birthday draw and enter now. From Global and ITV. 18+ UK purchase necessary. Whew. As you can see, that was quite tight. So, just going to keep twisting that off now. Keep twisting that off. And that is slowly going to release the tension. And I'm sure somebody is going to tell me that this is the wrong steps to do it. So if anyone is a qualified mechanic, then do let me know, because I would just change up. But as I had a look, when I had a look, it was a safe sort of way to go about taking it all off. So then the last thing I need to do is take these two bolts off. There's two 8mm bolts here that have got to come off, that take that off. And then yeah, it's just these two, and then I can get the chain out. So I've now took the bolts out of these two. When buying the time and chain kit, make sure that you get these, okay? There is nothing worse than cheaping out, and I learned from mistake because I cheaped out. Cheaping out and just buying the time and chain kit without these Vanos systems, the Vanos intake and exhaust. I didn't buy these. I did the whole time and chain thing, put it back together, had a constant issue with one of these. So then I had to take all of the time and chain, do the whole thing process again, just to replace that. Now, I've learned from mistakes. It isn't worth it. Luckily, I only replaced these not that long ago, so I don't need to do it now. I am only replacing this time and chain because there seems to be an awfully loud rattle. Now, I don't know if it was from the time and chain itself or if the guide has broke. So I was just going to change it as a whole. So that is now ready. I've got to take the two 8mm bolts out that is there. And then once that is done, we are then able to take that time and chain out. Right. Let's do this. Do 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 do. Now the only thing left to do is to take the bolts that are securing the time and chain guide. So there's two that are here. Just so I don't snap that. Just gonna do it by hand. Alright, so there's two there, and then there's one just hidden, just here. Which is going to want the same exact thing loosening with this. As you can see, I haven't got the drill set to max power, only because I don't want to snap anything. Oh. So that is that now loosened. Right, so now we can pull these out, set them aside. And we're just going to pull this to one side as well. Now we can literally just wiggle these off. That is now that, and the chain is out. And as you can see, it looks like it has snapped. Hence why I've been getting a rattling sound. Right, so now I am going to set the timing chain up, just so I can now get that in, get it put back together. So I'm going to grab this chain, slide that bad boy through, making sure we can just open this up, just to slide that chain through. That way, can then get this sprocket. like that. And now, the only thing to do is to just swap this with the old one. And that can now go straight back in. Then you might have some jigging to do. I normally put my hand here just to feel for the chain, and once I can feel for that, can then get that back down, lined up to where it needs to be. Then we can pop these on. Now, out of all the research that I tried to do and tried to find on where and how to line these up, I got to the conclusion it doesn't actually matter. So after a long time of searching, this actually doesn't matter. I don't know if anyone can comment and elaborate, because it still confuses me. But apparently it adjusts itself, so it's automatically going to do it. So you don't have to adjust these and put them anywhere. So then that is all lined up, all ready to go back on. You've got the 2 bolts that can now go back in, here and here. And then the other one underneath could go in there. Just to speed things up. So that's in there. Pop the 2 bolts back in as well. Now I do actually have a torque setting and a torque wrench for these, so we'll have to go and grab that wherever it may be hiding. So these 2 bolts are now tightened up 180 degrees on this one, and I do believe it was 90 degrees on this one, and that is just the torque setting on them bolts. So I'm now going to put back the tensioner, so then we have that in place. And then lastly, we are going to put this. Haven't tightened the tensioner yet, obviously, but I'm just going to pop this back in, pop this back on. Alright, so that is now tight on. You can put this belt back on, and that will be 16mm. Pull this back, slide that back on. And then when you go to put the belt back on, just make sure it is back on in all of the right places, because obviously you don't want it coming off at all. Alright, so that is the belt back on. You can always double check that it's on all points. So that is now done. So the only thing now left to do is to tighten the tensioner up, and then we've got two 8mm on the top that need to be tightened up for the guide rail, I guess. So just gonna go ahead, chuck them on. Okay, gonna go searching for a bolt in a minute. So just gonna go ahead, pop this on, which is the two 8mm. Alright, just gonna grab the drill just so we can make sure these are tight. Alright, so that's on there. Now the only thing left to do is tighten this up, and that was the 27mm for the tensioner. Four hours later, and as you're going to see from the inside, that is then going to just, not that you can see it very well, but that is then just going to start to push against the guide, making that tensioned. So just going to go ahead, chuck this back on. We've done up everything else pretty much. Just got to do this. Right, that's that done. So the only thing we've got left to do is now just to take off the bits of the timing chain, and then pretty much just put the rest of the stuff back together. Plugs can go in, cable ties can come out. Cable ties can come out. The spark plugs can go back in. I like to at least put it on the thread and get it down a few, just to make sure I'm not cross threading at all when I go and use the drill. Because in the past I've learned from mistakes of trying to use the drill first and then cross threading things. So as long as you take this advice, you won't have to learn from mistakes, thankfully. Unless you've already learnt from a mistake when that was completely unavoidable. Alright, done. Only thing left to do is to take these bolts off of the timing chain tool. Could pop this back on as well now. So just taking these bolts off so then we can get the timing chain off. Then I've got to go underneath and pop the pin out. And then that is pretty much the procedure done. Got a few bits to put on. Rocker cover, the plugs on the rocker cover, which is the camshaft cover sensors. And then we have, what else have we got left? Just the ignition coils to put on. Ignition plugs, I should say. Right, so that is that. So just going to go ahead, tighten up all the bolts back on the rocker cover. So that is now done. We are just going to put this last bit of plug on, and then also you're going to put this hose on the back end of here. And then you're going to want to put this hose on the back end of here. Then all you're going to do, simply just pop that on there, and then that's that done. On to the next one.